Joining me now is Jewish LGBTQ advocate and Emmy award-winning actor Yuval David. Yuval, this year you attended a pride parade in Washington, D.C., where you and the group you were with were physically assaulted, abused, spat on, just for being Jewish and supporting Israel. Here's some of what happened.
Then why are you rushing us?
You guys have genocide.
You're rushing us. You can't hit us. This Yiddish. I have been a lifelong LGBTQ activist. I believe in the values of protecting LGBTQ people, but they are attacking us in the middle of a pride march. Am I not supposed to be welcome within my own LGBTQ community because I am Jewish, because I'm Israeli? We have people of all nationalities here, all different types of LGBTQ people, and we're being booed right now.
Incredible scenes. This is a movement that's supposed to be inclusive and tolerant. Did you feel welcome?
I did not feel welcome, as is obvious from that video. The thing is, we also were assaulted in multiple different events during that Pride weekend in Washington, D.C., and the same thing happened in New York City. The thing is, I also was warned in advance by the FBI and other organizations in the United States that agitators were planning on disrupting Pride events in more than 100 cities across the United States. I don't believe that anybody should be allowed to stop our pride, to stop us from presenting ourselves, being who we are. That's part of what living in a democracy is about. But I've seen these factions within the LGBTQ movement grow and increase. And I've been waving that red flag for a long time, and sadly, have been heavily ignored. And that's why we're seeing what we're seeing right now with the LGBTQIA+ movement having gone to some mind-twisting extremes.
Mind-twisting indeed. The whole hostility towards Israel and the Jewish people for members of that community is bizarre. It's bordering on suicidally stupid when Israel is the only place in the Middle East where that community enjoys rights, equal rights. I noticed nobody has taken up the New Tolerance campaign's offer of $1 million to hold a pride march in Gaza or the West Bank. I mean, it would be unthinkable to have any sort of event celebrating the community in those parts of the world other than in Israel.
Look, you're speaking the truth. Israel is the only country in the Middle East that protects LGBTQIA+ rights, and every other letter you wish to add to this movement. Israel is the only country in the Middle East that provides asylum for people, for Arabs who wish to flee their countries and move into Israel so they can still speak Arabic, so they can still be around other Arabs and Arab Israelis in order to be safe. The same thing goes for women's rights. So look, I'm an equal opportunity supporter and an equal opportunity critic. If somebody from my own liberal, progressive LGBTQ movements is doing things that's against the values of these movements, then I'm going to speak out about it. And I've been speaking out about these issues starting in 2016, when I started to see more and more manipulation entering the LGBTQ space. In 2016, people used to go to the LGBTQ conferences when I would speak at, when I would be speaking, one of the keynote speakers at a conference, and they'd hand out free shirts and free mugs and the free buttons, all the things we see. And they'd have people who'd walk there with a keffiyeh and wrap it around somebody's neck and say, oh, here's a keffiyeh. It's a symbol of resistance against any form of oppression. And that's all they did. So all of a sudden, they started to create these little symbols that people would recognize and say, oh, that person's wearing a beautiful scarf, then we must be the same. Is that all that it takes with catchy nursery rhyme slogans that rhymes to manipulate these people to believe that Hamas is an organization that an LGBTQ person should support, or Hezbollah, or Iran? It doesn't make sense.
Does not make sense. And that anti-Israeli sentiment we saw at the Pride March has extended into Hollywood increasingly, something you've pointed out. Hollywood champions the left's causes, and this appears to be another one now. And it's also in the music industry and entertainment industry in general. Most recently, rapper Macklemore launched into a tirade against Israel and America at a concert raising money for UNRWA. Have a listen.
America. October 7th happens and I start paying attention and I start learning. I start listening. I start going back and learning the history. And this issue that was deemed so complicated, it's a genocide, absolutely. And it has been since 1948. Don't get it twisted.
It's incredible to me that he admits to only really being interested in this issue after October 7, but he looked at the slaughter of innocent Israelis in their homes at a music festival and decided they were to blame. It's bewildering.
Ridiculous. It's bewildering, just as you stated, and as he stated himself, including in his other speeches that he's been giving since October 7th, where he actually says the words that he didn't know anything about this situation. He didn't know anything about what's happening in the Middle East until October 7th, and he's only recently learning about it. Wonderful. That is absolutely a person that we should be listening to, a rapper who says that he doesn't know anything about the situation, but he knows how he feels. What we're seeing is the progressive left, which is far too focused on this oppressor-oppressed narrative. Even though so many of us talk about being non-binary, they're focused on binary thinking, a light and dark, and they've learned false information from non-reliable sources, and that the facts are out there from reliable sources. I listen to your show. I listen to what you say. And if I don't agree with everything you say, that makes me more excited because maybe you'll change my mind. Maybe I will change somebody else's mind. That's what this should be about. But they are canceling anybody who disagrees with them. They're forcing facts to fit their opinions as opposed to shaping their opinions based on facts. Here's something that'll bother you more than all of the other things that bother you that you speak about. 97% of people under the age of 45 receive their news and world information from TikTok and Instagram.
Well, this is a problem, and we see what trends there. We see what's promoted, particularly on TikTok, and I don't believe it's all organic there. They determine what is allowed to trend and what's suppressed, and it's very dangerous time. But I applaud you and the work you do. Very brave indeed. Yuval David, thank you so much for your time this evening.
The feeling is mutual. I applaud you for everything that you're doing. You're a voice of reason and a voice of truth. And I will do everything to help spread that truth so people can learn and do the right thing.